Hey y'all, Coach in the Fight here. Got Stacy with me.
Hello everybody.
Hey, we want to talk about the seal or the mark of the 144,000. The title of this video is going to be the mark of the 144,000. Stacy, what you know about the mark of the 144,000?
As I previously told you, I don't know anything probably about this mark. So I'm anxious to learn as well.
Now, Stacy is the church lady. She used to be the church lady. She a lot of times has to interpret stuff that, when I hear church doctrine, sometimes she has to make me understand what it is that they learn in the church. So she's very valuable. The Hermas Academy is my translator sometimes.
Okay.
But now we're going to go in. We're going to look at the mark and what the mark of the 144,000 is. Now, in the New Testament of the Bible, we hear about the mark in the form of a seal. It's called the seal. You remember the seal in Revelations?
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, you're looking at it right here. It kind of starts up there in first part of chapter 7, where it's talking about those four angels standing in the four corners of the earth, holding back the four winds of the earth. You know what they're talking about when they talk about the four winds of the earth?
I think they're talking about each corner.
Yeah, well, when they talk about these four winds of the earth, what they're actually talking about is war, right? This war, this third world war that we have that's imminent at this point. What he's saying is to withhold this war until his people are sealed. Read right there in verse 2, he says, "And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the grass, till I have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads."
Right. I've heard a lot about the mark or the seal in the foreheads. Yes.
Yeah, and you hear about the mark of the beast as well. So there's kind of a couple of different marks, but in Revelations it talks about the mark of the beast, but it talks about the seal of God, which seal and mark are pretty much the same thing. They're just opposite.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess he didn't want to confuse you by putting the mark of God and the mark of the beast, so he said the seal of God and the mark of the beast to kind of delineate the two. But you look right here in verse 7, "And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of Israel."
Okay.
Right. So now let's jump over here to the Third Testament of the Bible to get some clarification. Some of you guys are familiar with the Third Testament of the Bible, and I would go as far as to say that you have to have the Third Testament of the Bible in order to understand both the New Testament and the Old Testament. If you don't have the Third Testament, there's a lot of things that's going to be misunderstood in the Old Testament and the New Testament of the Bible.
I agree.
And one in particular is this seal or this mark.
Okay.
All right. So let's come in and let's look at what it says about the mark of the 144,000 or the seal of the 144,000, which we're going to find is the same thing, with the key being that he said he was going to seal off 144,000. Well, in the Third Testament, it calls it the mark, and we're going to find out that he's going to mark off the 144,000. Now, what I've done is I'm using a little search program here, just looking for the word mark, and we're going to go down through here and look for the when the word mark is used. And I've gone all the way through the Third Testament of the Bible looking for the word mark, and found that the most relevant times that the word mark is listed, as far as this study here, is in a section called the 140 and 4,000 chosen. This is coming out of chapter 39 of the Third Testament of the Bible. And let's see, chapter 39, let's jump over there. Chapter 39 is called the earthly and spiritual Israel. Okay, and so and remember that we learned that Israel was a name that was supposed to refer to all of the children that are, well, who do you remember it referred to?
Well, when we first started this journey, I'll call it, we were thinking that Israel were the Jewish people, the people with that wore the black caps, that dressed very modestly. And then as we got further into it, we thought it was all of people of color, black people. And now what we have learned from the Third Testament, it is talking about those who are disciples of Christ, or those who accept the law, who do the law, and really just take on the name of the Father, doing all of His laws, statutes, and things like that.
Yeah, you're right. And we find that it's a spiritual name referring to, like you said, those individuals who are obedient.
Right. Obedient to the law.
All right, very good. So let's step through these pretty quickly. Do you want to read, or you want me to read?
Okay, I'll read.
All right, well, let's take it one verse at a time.
40. To extend my work in this, the third era, I have come to choose from among the great masses 144,000 spirits, marking them by the kiss of divine light, not a kiss of betrayal, nor the light of a pact that will put your spirit in danger.
Okay, now the purpose of this class is to understand what this mark is. We want to know what the mark is, what does it look like, and the first thing we hear here is that it is marking them by the kiss of divine light. Right, and the word light we recognize to mean understanding, right, and or something to that effect. But this divine light is part of the mark, and it says not a kiss of betrayal nor a sign of a pact that will put your spirit in danger, meaning that it's not going to be something that you can recognize.
Okay.
So because if it could, they'd kill them all.
Right.
Right. If it was a physical mark on their head, people would be looking for those marks. At least those who are working against the Father, they'd be looking for that mark in order to kill them.
Right. My mark is a sign that the Holy Spirit deposits upon those it has chosen to carry out a great mission in this, the third era. Okay,
so here we recognize the mark to be a sign, right, that was placed by the Holy Spirit, not placed by man or placed by the individuals themselves, but the Holy Spirit is the one who deposits this mark on the chosen, right, to carry out a great mission here in the third era. And the third era, if you're not familiar with what that means, in the first era was when you had Moses and he got the Old Testament. The second era came with the Messiah when we got the New Testament. Now that we're in this third era, we're getting this third testament of the Bible.
Okay, 41. He who bears this sign is not safe from dangers. On the contrary, he is tried and tempted more than any. Remember each one of the 12 chosen by me in the second time, and you can confirm what I tell you. They had moments of doubt, of weakness, and of confusion. There was even one who betrayed me to my executioners with a kiss.
Again, that mark is a sign here, right? But I guess the main point of that verse, as far as this class, is what the mark is not. And it's not something that's going to make these individuals safe from dangers, right? And look right there. He says they are tried and tempted more than any.
Right.
And you find that really interesting. A lot of people want to think of these 144,000 as a bunch of do-gooders, pure and holy, and
never have any problems.
Never have any problems. But he said that they're tried and tempted more than any. All right, let's go on.
42. How much the chosen of this time shall have to pray and keep vigil to not fall into temptations. Even so, I'll tell you truly that among the 144,000 there shall be traitors.
Traitors among the 144,000. These, like, who was the traitor of the second era?
Judas.
Judas. Yeah, so you'll have some Judas in this time too, which means they're going to basically have a lot of the same powers of the 144,000. They're going to have all the same powers of the 144,000, but like Judas, they're going to use them to serve their own selves, or use them to serve the beast, or use them for ill.
Right.
All right, let's go on.
Number 43. The mark means a calling, missions, and responsibility before God.
Keep going.
It is not an agreement against temptations or illnesses. If it were, what merit would there be in my chosen? What effort would it be for your spirit to remain faithful to my word?
All right, so here's another key that we can write down as far as what the mark is. It says it means a calling, it means missions, and responsibility before God. Now we could talk about each one of those. Or should we? Maybe we can just go on. We understand what the calling is. We'll find out later on that, everybody has a calling. Everybody who is Israel has a calling on their life.
Right.
Right. But it's up to us to make our calling and election sure, and that's something that requires effort, whereas the calling doesn't. To become one of the elect means it has a lot of work involved in it, especially purifying ourselves or getting rid of some of the stains that we have on our spirit. But then he talks about missions and responsibility. Right? See, it's not a glamorous thing to have this mark. There's work involved with what this mark is for. Right? It involves, like I said, missions. There's different people with different jobs that will have to take place especially when things get hot and heavy in this tribulation. And then it also entails responsibilities.
I think one of the most prevalent things that I'm seeing is that when it says it's not a guarantee against temptations, it's not a guarantee against illnesses. And then up above on 41, it says that you will have moments of doubt and confusion. And so many times that, I've watched videos where people are bickering back and forth about, I'm 144 and you're not 144. And this here is like it's not something to be boastful about.
Right, exactly.
Because you're going to have weaknesses, you're going to have people betraying you. That could include family members, that could include friends. You're going to have temptations and trials more so than anybody, and that's just not something to brag about.
Right, yeah. You're going to be humiliated, you're going to be poor, you're going to be humbled. I mean, yeah, it's a lot to this thing. And it says, if it were, what merit would there be in my chosen? So if these guys were put down here and they had to go through nothing, everything was easy for them, what merit would there be? So these guys have to go through more than the rest of us do.
Right, you would have already earned your reward by having such a lax life. But when you go through the trials and temptations for the name of the Father, then you will earn merits as you go along.
All right, let's go on to 44.
I speak to you in this way because there are many hearts among this multitude that will wish to form part of those who have been marked. But I have seen that rather than the yearning to serve humanity with the gifts that the mark bestows, it is the desire to feel secure or vanity that moves them to ask me to call them.
Keep going.
I will test these petty ones, and they will be convinced that there is truth in my words.
Yeah, just like you're saying, a lot of people just want the mark just to say that they are chosen, or just to say that they're 144,000, but they really have no, what is a yearning to serve humanity. They don't want to go
desire.
out. Yeah, they don't want to go out and do nothing to help people. They just want to, say that they are 144,000, or they just want to feel secure, meaning they want to be part of this group that's actually going to survive the tribulation. Because you have to remember, that's who these guys are.
Mm-hmm.
The 144,000 are the people who actually survive the tribulation and go on to become the parents of humanity. Now, they're not the only ones who survived. That should be brought out, because I think they're is where they have this desire to feel secure, is because there's some religions or some denominations that teach that the 144,000 are the only ones that survive. No, those who emulate the 144,000, or those who follow the teachings of the 144,000, they also survive, as well as the family members. They survive as well too. But there's a lot of people out there who just want to be 144,000 just so they can survive. But that ain't what it's all about. It's about helping other people, right? It's their main mission is to help humanity survive. And if we find out in other parts of the Third Testament, if they focus all of their time on saving themselves, then they're actually going to lose themselves. Where they say those who will save their life will actually lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but those who will give up their life in order to help humanity will actually be the ones who are saved.
45. The mark is an invisible sign by which those who bear it with love, respect, zeal, and humility can complete their mission. You will then see that the mark is a divine grace that is superior to pain, that illuminates you in your greatest trials, that reveals profound knowledge, in which in any place can open a breach for the passage of the Spirit.
All right, so here are some more traits or characteristics of the mark that we can write down as we try to paint this picture of what is the mark. Okay, first of all, it's saying that it is invisible, like we talked about earlier. If it was something visible, it would actually put these people's lives in danger. There will be people who will be searching them out, trying to kill them, looking for this mark. They would have to wear hats, or something like that, to protect themselves from being killed. All right, but notice right here, he says that they have to bear this mark with love, respect, zeal, and humility in order to be able to complete their missions.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that is most important, is that humility.
Yeah.
Because without humility, then it goes back to what we just previously talked about. You start having a desire to you stop having a desire to help humanity, but now it's about ambition or being recognized.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and then we talked about earlier how there will be traitors amongst the 144,000, right? So maybe these traitors are ones who have this invisible sign, but they do not bear it with love.
Right.
They don't have respect, zeal, or humility alone to go with these other characteristics, and so they end up heading in the wrong direction, maybe even harming more people than they help. Now look right here, he says, you will see that the mark is a divine grace that is superior to pain.
What would you say the word grace means?
Let's look up a synonym for grace, see if there's a synonym. Alright, synonyms: elegance, refinements, loveliness, polish, beauty, style, poise, and charm. Absolutely none of those.
Yeah, I'm not talking about any of those. Grace is like, I always learn in the church that grace is something that you receive from the Father that you don't deserve.
Yeah. See, I always mix the two up, grace and mercy.
Okay.
So mercy was not being punished for the things that you were supposed to be punished for, and you say grace is getting something that you didn't deserve. Okay, yeah. So that's important to this study, is the mark is divine grace, because none of us can really say that we deserve, this, or mark that is being put up on them. None of those guys who have this mark should be able to say they deserve this mark for one reason or another. They have this mark because of grace.
Right, because they were called. It's not nothing. Well, is that correct? It's not nothing that they did. It's just a calling that they got from the Father, and they accepted the call.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But what does it mean by superior to pain?
Superior to pain.
Well, what that means to me is that, okay, they have this mark given to them by divine grace, and pain can't take it away. Even though they may have to go through a lot, bearing this mark, no matter how much pain you put on these guys, you're not going to be able to take it away or erase it. And they have to go through quite a lot.
That illuminates you in your greatest trials. And
so the mark illuminates you in your greatest trials and reveals profound knowledge.
And can open a breach for the passage of the Spirit.
Yeah.
Right.
So these are some of the benefits to to having this mark. Is they can do all of this stuff here.
And these are things that you're going to need, because for one, you're going through pain.
Definitely.
You're going through trials.
Yep.
You need the profound knowledge.
True.
And you're going to have to be able to open a breach for the passage of the Spirit. Yeah. Right. 46. The mark is like a link uniting whoever possesses it to the spiritual world. It is the channel by which the thoughts and words of the spiritual world manifest in yours. Know then by my words that the marked one is a messenger, an envoy, and my instrument.
Okay, so the mark is a link, but uniting whoever possesses it with the spiritual world, right? And we understand the spiritual world is where all the disincarnated people live. In other words, where the dead people live.
Yeah, well, that includes the angels.
Yeah, I was going to say where the angels live. Where the principalities and powers dwell.
Yeah.
Where the Father lives.
So this mark is like a link that connects you to that place.
Yeah, okay.
There's good in that place as well as bad.
Yeah.
So it links you to that place, and that makes me think of sometimes of dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Look right here. It is the channel by which the thoughts and words of the spiritual world manifests in yours. So the mark is a way for the spiritual world to channel itself into our understanding, into our
thoughts
world.
and our world,
and
our words.
Yeah, so their thoughts are coming through the 144,000, so we can hear it. Yeah, okay. It's very interesting stuff.
It says the marked one is a messenger, an envoy, and my instrument.
Okay, so if he is channeling that which comes from the spiritual world, and particularly that which comes from the Father, and that makes him a messenger. He's an envoy and an instrument. He's kind of a tool. Oh, okay. All right.
Number 47. The commitment and responsibility of the marked one toward my work is great, but he is not alone on his path. By his side there walks a guardian angel who protects, guides, inspires, and strengthens him.
Okay, now is he the only one that has this guardian angel?
No, we all have a guardian angel.
That's what I always thought, that we all have a guardian angel.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe his guardian angel is a little bit more powerful than the rest of ours. Maybe he's getting extra protection, extra guidance, extra inspiration, and a little more strength than the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe our guardian angels are just saving us from doing dumb crap, where his guardian angels is actually giving him strength and so forth.
Right. It says that here in the Third Testament, it says that our guardian angel, he watches over us, and the guardian angel also has the power to protect us from the things that are about to come upon us. That our guardian angel has knowledge of our future.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe his is more of a his guardian angel has reached more of a higher elevated state. That's what I was trying to say. Elevated state, right?
One thing about the guardian, every time I think about these guardian angels, I think about the section, and we did a class on guardian angels not too long ago. You can check our channel for that. But one of the things it says about the guardian angels is how we take them for granted,
right,
and how they are helping us, but yet we don't recognize that they're even there, and so we don't give them a break, and how we should actually thank them for what they're doing. Even though we can't see them or hear from them, we should recognize that we're there and appreciate all that they do for us, because they do a lot.
Right.
Let's go on.
48. Oh, how strong has been he who knows how to embrace his cross with love, and how hard and bitter has been the road of the chosen one, who has not known how to carry with him the divine sign of the chosen in the third era.
Okay, so now...
Well, that makes me think of the ones that are depressed, those that feel like they just can't go on any longer. They have no idea who they are, and they're just like trouble is constantly happening to them.
And things are happening, and they don't really recognize, like you said, they don't recognize who they are, so it doesn't make sense, the things that they're going to. They're being humiliated. A lot of them have lost their jobs, and their family members have turned on them. Even their children and their wives have walked out on them. They go through, like we said a few minutes ago, extra trials and tribulations and illnesses. There's a lot going on. And then, you think about how we're in Judgment Day in this time period, and how, the Father says that he chastises those that he loves. And so it appears that they're the only ones who's going through many of these hardships. Whereas a lot of the people around them, seem like nothing is going on. Every day is good, and nothing as bad is happening to them. It only seems to be bad. Only bad seems to be happening to these envoys here, and it can be confusing. Like I said, if they don't know how to carry this sign, if they don't recognize why this is on them, then they say, yeah, they're gonna be pretty bitter. It's gonna be it's a hard road.
Yeah, a lot of them will, I believe, resort, because they said that some will be traitors, will resort in being blasphemous.
Yeah.
Speaking evil of the Father.
Yeah.
Because they truly don't understand what's going on.
And they're blaming the Father for everything bad that's happening. But, a lot of what's going on, especially the hardships, is actually helping them in order to cleanse their spirits.
Right.
Is making up for the bad things that they've done while they was under these great temptations all of their life. They're kind of making up for it. So, and that's why we do these classes, to help these guys out. We understand that, they may be, divine envoys. They may be more elevated than, we are, but not all of them have, read as much of the scripture maybe as they should have. They're kind of getting it, through divine inspiration. And so, we just want to pull out some of these verses to maybe help them out.
Right. 49. I tell all who hear me, learn to pray and keep vigil, to carry your cross with love and practice righteousness and obedience, so that this life, which has been the most luminous reincarnation of your spirit, is not sterile, making you lament the time lost and the gifts unused.
And see, that's exactly what we're talking about right there when he says making sure this incarnation is not sterile, because if they don't recognize that the hardships that they're going through is for their own benefit and they start to blaspheme, they're going to do just that. They're going to sterilize the merits, and then they might have to go through it all again, even making it more hard the next time. Right? And this is some of the stuff that we learn here in the Third Testament about this reincarnation of the spirits. Yeah. And again, this is the Third Testament of the Bible here. And it's putting a lot of light on what we already know.
Right.
And just for those who don't know, this word vigil means watch. It means to keep watch. And we see that often, and I had to look it up myself, but it means to keep watch.
Okay. Number 50. Meditate, all of you, marked or unmarked, on this lesson, for all of you have a destiny to fulfill within my work.
All right. So So we have to meditate on this. We have to go back and we have to read this, and back it up and maybe push the pause button, or check down in the description. There's a link to the Third Testament of the Bible that you can download for free. It's a PDF that you can get over there at JesusComes.com, or you can even listen to a audio version of the Third Testament of the Bible and just look for chapter 39, and and meditate on this, because it's extremely important. If you are if you are one of these marked ones, or even if you are aspiring to be like one of these marked ones, this information is important for you to understand. So meditate on it. Yeah. I think this is the last one.
59. Humanity will believe my work will be spread throughout the globe. I shall begin with the 144,000 marked out, who shall struggle with obedience, love, and zeal in the time of the wars of belief and doctrines, and who in the midst of that battle shall be a link that proposes to the world not the chains of slavery, but that of spiritual alliance that will be one of freedom and brotherhood.
Yeah, see, that's the time we live in now, where it says right here, the time of the wars of beliefs and doctrines. That's why there's so much infighting among the so-called Christian church, is because of the doctrines and the beliefs. People are at war, with this. And praise the Father in heaven that it's not a bloody war like it used to be. They killed you, burned you at the stake for disagreeing. Now we just hash it out, and we may argue a little bit, but that's okay. It's better than getting your head cut off.
Right.
But notice it says right here, it says, I shall begin with the 144,000. Notice right here, it says he will begin with the 144,000. It doesn't end with them. These are just the guys who are going to be our teachers. They're going to come in, when we need them the most. They're going to come in for humanity, and they're going to help teach us. But he's going to begin with them, because they're going to be the ones struggling with obedience, love, and zeal in the time of the wars of belief and doctrines. Meaning that during this time now, while the rest of us are down at the church fighting with the Reverend Pastor Deacon Dr. Doug, trying to explain, to him that, he ain't about to fly away nowhere. These 144,000, they're over there learning obedience, they're learning love, they're learning, they're getting their zeal and stuff together. All right, so I think we're going to wrap it up there. Anything else you want to add to it, Stacey, before we close it out?
I guess I just want to say that, in verse number 50, where it tells us that we should meditate the marked as well as the unmarked. So it's not a time to be jealous or envious of our brothers who have been called out, because it's such a great responsibility. It's time for us to help them, to come along and support them. And when you see someone who seems to be identified as one of these marked people, to just come along and support them.
And listen to them.
Listen to them.
Follow their instruction. They're here to help us, So if you have the opportunity to, you know, find one of these guys. I pray one day that I get to meet one, and, you know, if I do, you know, I plan to give him all, or give her all of my attention, knowing that they're here to try to help me to survive this tribulation. So, you know, um, so I'll be taking notes sitting at the front of the class.
Right.
Alright, y'all, if you got something out of it, go ahead and hit the like button. If you didn't get anything out of it, go ahead and hit the dislike button. And leave a comment either way.
Shalom.
Shalom.